Hi, my name is Mia, and this is a Rivet Leaf, and welcome to the very first video of 2025. I can't believe 24 is over, but we're gonna take just one last look back at the past year, because in this video I want to talk you through my 10 favorite books of 2024. In total, I read 65 books last year, and these are going to be my top 10 favorite out of those 65. I tried to put them in order for you from kind of like my least favorite to my very favorite book, but yeah, that was quite the challenge because I really enjoyed all of them. So yeah, without further ado, let me start with the first one called Time Shelter. And yeah, this book is less of like a coherent story and more of like an accumulation of ideas, kind of like musings on the topic of time. So it talks about everything from nostalgia to dementia. It talks about different eras and also about different countries and kind of like the history of Europe. It takes place in Zurich, Switzerland. So kind of in the center of Europe, and yeah, I definitely feel like you should have at least a little bit of an understanding of European history in order to like fully be able to enjoy this book, because it doesn't really explain many of the historic things. It more so mentions them, but I just thought this was genius. It was really, really interesting. Yeah, very alternative book. I really enjoyed this. Alright, and sticking on with the topic of alternative bugs, my next pick is Paran. And this book is so crazy that it is nearly impossible to put into words, at least without spoiling the plot, so I'm gonna try my best. But this book is about this main character called Paran, who lives in this world that's called the House. It's just called the House. And this house, which the world is an actual house, is full of these different rooms and vestibules. It's kind of like a labyrinth. The bottom floor of this house is the ocean, the top floor is the clouds, and Paran kind of lives in this house and writes about it, about his life in his journal. And once again, it's kind of like this really interesting take on time, because instead of going by month and day, this character kind of came up with his own way of tracking time. And in this house, he believes that there's only 15 other people dead or alive in this house with him, and then there's another character called the Other, and the Other kind of like periodically checks in with Paran, gives him supplies, gives him tasks of what he is supposed to do within the house, until eventually he tells him about a 16th person coming into the house and kind of warns him about him, and tells Paran to kind of avoid that person at all costs. And through that 16th person, Paran kind of learns the truth about his life in the house, and it's just this crazy plot twist. Really, really interesting book for sure. I highly recommend it. Alright, next up we have The Sentence. And now one little disclaimer, I will say that I had a little bit of a hard time with the beginning of this book. It just wasn't quite my cup of tea, but the more I read it, the more I loved it, and this book ended up really sticking with me. I just keep thinking back at it. And so if you feel the same about it, just push through the beginning. It's not that long. But yeah, The Sentence is about this Native American woman who is sentenced to some years in prison, and you can already see the wordplay here. This book is just really focused around words and bugs, which I love. So yeah, this is just one of the wordplays within. Anyways, so after she gets released from prison, she works in this bookstore, and this bookstore eventually gets haunted by the ghost of a former customer of hers. So yeah, kind of a crazy story, but throughout the story you get to learn a lot about Native American life, about their culture, their history, and because it is set in a bookstore, you also get quite a lot of book recommendations within this book, so that was super fun. So yeah, if you're looking for some literature on Native American life, this one is a really, really good one. Next up on my list is A Tale for the Time Being by the Japanese-American author Ruth Ozeki. And I mention that because the story also takes place between America and Japan. And it's about these two kind of parallel lives. On one side you have this Japanese teenager, and on the other side you have an American Canadian woman. And their lives connect through the diary that this Japanese teenager wrote. And she throws her diary in the ocean, and it kind of washes ashore on the island that the American woman lives on, and she finds it, and so that's kind of how their lives connect. But as you can probably imagine, a teenage life is quite turbulent. So this teenage girl writes in her diary a lot about all her struggles day to day, which are kind of multiplied by the fact that her dad is really depressed and suicidal due to like a couple of life events that have happened, which also leads the girl to be quite suicidal in the end. But it's not all that sad of a story, because the girl does get her finds her kind of saving within Buddhism, because her grandma is a Buddhist monk whom she visits, and kind of turns her life around in a way. And I really enjoyed this book. This was another great example of amazing Asian literature. I find that most Asian literature that I have personally read is just super, super creative, and this one is no different. And once again, you learn a lot about Japanese culture as well, so highly recommend this one. Alright, next we have a little two-part series. It's called the Monk and Robot series, and it's about this non-binary monk who is kind of trying to find their purpose in life, and they try to do so by becoming a tea monk. And a tea monk is a monk that kind of travels from village to village, serves tea, and kind of has conversation, almost like talking therapy, over the tea with the people in the village. And this whole story takes place on like a fictional planet called Panga, and on this planet everyone kind of lives in harmony with nature. They have kind of overcome their industrial past, which was really damaging to the environment, and eventually this monk comes across a robot. And robots are kind of like a thing of the ancient past. Like I said, this whole planet has kind of moved on from technology and from industrialization. And with the robot together, they talk about a lot of the issues from the past, and find a way to live together and explore their planet together. So it's a really, really sweet series. My only complaint is how short these books are. I wish the story was longer. I really, really enjoyed it. Alright, sticking with short books, my next pick is Whereabouts, and this one is just full of these short stories of kind of like observations of daily life, so just really mundane everyday things that kind of draw your attention to the present and really make you appreciate just the little moments in life. Next up we have There Are Rivers in the Sky by Elif Shafak, and Elif Shafak, as I have mentioned time and time again, is one of my favorite authors, and this is her latest book and I loved it. This one again kind of spans over like a huge period of time and also across continents. So we get insights into ancient Mesopotamia all the way to present-day Turkey, and then parallel to that we also get stories from 1850s London all the way to present-day London, and the overarching theme is water and rivers, and that topic kind of connects all these different stories so beautifully. And yeah, I just love how, again, we get this appreciation for nature. We get a lot of insights into Middle Eastern and especially Turkish history and culture. So not only do we get a really, really interesting and well-written story, but we also learn a lot throughout this book. So yeah, highly recommend this one. Next up is Martyr, and this book was probably one of the best written books I have ever picked up. It's almost, yeah, poetically written, and it is about this boy called Cyrus who grows up in the American Midwest, but he is the son of immigrants from the Middle East. And both of his parents kind of die in these freak accidents, so he falls into drug addiction, and he again gets really suicidal, and he gets kind of obsessed with the topic of death, and especially the idea of martyrdom. And eventually he interviews a martyr, and throughout that he kind of discovers his own life story a little more, and there's a really fun plot twist at the end. I don't know if fun was the best word to use, but there is a plot twist at the end. And all throughout we just get these beautiful descriptions of relationships, relationships with family, with friends, and also same-sex relationships. Just really, really beautifully written, and I really enjoyed this book. Alright, down to the last two. We have Once I Was You, which is a memoir by Maria Hinojosa, but it is not just that, it is also just like a journalistic masterpiece on immigration to the US throughout history. So Maria Hinojosa was an immigrant from Mexico herself, and she just manages to combine her own immigrant story with that of immigrants from all over the world throughout history to the United States. And I have no idea how she managed to pull that off in such a short book, but it was incredibly written, incredibly insightful, and just, I mean, still relevant to this day. So highly recommend this one as well. And now to my favorite book of the year, which might be a little bit of a cheat because I didn't just pick this up this year. I've read it a couple years ago, but I keep rereading it, so I read it last year again, so I'm gonna count it. And it's my favorite book of all time. It's Braiding Sweetgrass, and this one is a book that combines indigenous wisdom and spirituality with science, and it is once again just so beautifully written. It almost reads like a song or a poem, and it again is comprised of these short stories that highlight different aspects of nature, and we learn a lot about Native American culture once again, but also we learn the science of botany, because Robin Waldkammer is a botanist. And so I mean, what more can I say? It's an amazing book. If you haven't read it, please do. This is my favorite book in the entire world. So and that concludes this video. I hope you found some inspiration for books that you could pick up this year and read. Let me know if you read any of them yourself. Let me know what your favorite books of last year were. And thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave me a like and subscribe so you don't miss my future uploads, and I'll see you next time.